You know what's crazy? Most people wake up every morning already tired of their own life. They roll out of bed, check their phone, rush through their routine, and by the time the day even begins, they're already running from it. And if you ask them, how's life? They'll say, busy, just trying to get through the day. My friend, listen carefully. You were not born to get through the day. You were born to design a life that sets your soul on fire. The difference between people who exist and people who live isn't luck. It's design. You can live 80 years and never truly live a single day. Or you can live a few years with purpose, passion, and power and make every moment echo for generations. That's what this message is about today, because if you're here right now, it means some part of you knows there's more to who you are, more to what you're capable of, more to the story you were born to write. And before this talk is over, you'll realize something. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You can start designing a life right now, not a day that fades, but a legacy that lasts. So stay with me until the end, because today we're not going to talk about time management. We're going to talk about life creation. And by the time you walk out of here, you won't just be planning your next day, you'll be reprogramming your destiny. You see, most people don't even realize they're trapped. They wake up, go to work, come home, scroll for a few minutes, go to sleep, and repeat. It's not that they're lazy. It's that they've been trained, conditioned to survive, not to live. They've been told success means checking boxes, get the job, pay the bills, don't fall behind, and they've built a life around avoiding pain instead of chasing purpose. You know that feeling when you wake up and you already feel like you're running late to your own life? That's the survival loop. You're living in reaction, reacting to notifications, reacting to people's expectations, reacting to what the world throws at you, instead of designing what you want to create. And the scariest part, you can be incredibly busy and still be going nowhere. You can be disciplined, structured, and hardworking, yet building a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. The survival loop keeps you focused on jetting through the day rather than asking, is this the day I want to live again and again? Let me tell you something, movement is not progress. A hamster runs all day, but it never leaves the wheel. And so many of us are doing the same. We're moving, but we're not evolving because we've confused activity with achievement, comfort with happiness, and routine with meaning. When you live in survival, your brain is wired to protect you, not to expand you. It looks for what can go wrong instead of what can go right. It's scanning for danger instead of opportunity. It's a powerful system. It kept our ancestors alive, but it's a terrible designer for a meaningful life. And if you're not careful, that system becomes your master. You start shrinking your dreams to fit your fears. You start saying, maybe later, when your soul is screaming, now. You start telling yourself you're tired, but what you really are is uninspired. The first step to breaking free is awareness. You've got to catch yourself in that loop. The moment you hear your mind say, I have to get through today, stop, breathe. Ask yourself, what if I could design this day? What would it look like? What would make it worth remembering? That's how design begins, not with massive change, but with conscious direction. Because you can't design a life you're not aware of. You can't create from autopilot. You have to interrupt the pattern. You have to decide, I'm not here to survive. I'm here to create. Maybe you've been waiting for the perfect time. Maybe you've told yourself, once things settle down, I'll start that business. I'll write that book. I'll get back in shape. I'll take that risk. But listen, things don't settle down. Life won't hand you calm seas. You've got to build the ship that can handle the storm. Designing a life means taking ownership of your energy, your time, your focus. It means saying no to what drains you and yes to what expands you. It means creating rituals that feed your growth instead of robbing it. Because every time you hit snooze on your purpose, you reinforce the belief that your dreams can wait. And every time you act with intention, you tell your brain, I'm in control now. This isn't about changing everything overnight. It's about shifting the center of gravity from survival to creation. When you start designing instead of reacting, you'll notice something powerful. Your energy rises. You'll wake up excited, not because everything's perfect, but because you finally have direction. You're no longer running from something. You're running towards something. You start to feel alive again. You begin to realize that fulfillment doesn't come from crossing tasks off a list. It comes from knowing that what you're doing today aligns with who you want to become tomorrow. And suddenly, even the ordinary moments, your morning coffee, your drive to work, your conversations start to feel different. They're no longer random. They're connected to your purpose. But to live this way, you must give up one addiction, the addiction to comfort, because comfort will kill your hunger. Comfort whispers, you're fine, when your soul knows you're meant for more. You've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where design happens, outside the walls of certainty, in the space where fear and possibility collide. So if you want to break free from the survival loop, stop asking, what do I have to do today? And start asking, what do I want my life to mean? That question changes everything. It moves you from reaction to creation, from routine to vision, from existing to living. And when you start living that way, when you stop managing time and start mastering purpose, your days begin to feel different. You stop counting them and you start making them count, because this isn't about getting through the week. It's about designing a life that's worth waking up to. Vision is not some abstract idea that exists in the clouds. It's the blueprint of your destiny. And yet, so many people wander through life without one. They wake up, work hard, chase what they think they should want, and wonder why the result feels empty. The truth is, if you don't know where you're going, no road will ever feel right. No achievement will ever feel satisfying. You can hustle, grind, and sacrifice and still feel like life is passing you by because you haven't created a vision that pulls you forward with passion. A vision is more than just a goal. A goal is a destination. A vision is a life lived with intention. It's the emotional fuel that wakes you up before your alarm, that excites you even on the days when everything seems hard. It's what turns obstacles into stepping stones, because when you know the life you're creating, challenges become part of the journey, not barriers to it. Without a vision, life is like a ship at sea with no anchor, no compass, no map, tossed around by currents and storms. With a vision, every decision, every choice, every action has direction and purpose. Many people settle for small, incremental goals, thinking that if they just climb one more rung on the ladder, they'll reach fulfillment. But fulfillment doesn't come from accumulation alone. It comes from alignment. You can have money, recognition, success, and still feel hollow if your life isn't aligned with the vision that ignites your soul. And that alignment begins with clarity. You must be brutally clear about what you want, not just superficially, but deeply, emotionally, viscerally. What is the life that, if you woke up tomorrow in it, would make you leap out of bed with joy? What is the reality that makes every sacrifice feel worth it? That is the vision you must see first. Vision is magnetic. It pulls you toward it. And the strange thing is, the clearer your vision, the easier the path becomes. Because when you know what you want, your brain starts scanning the environment for opportunities, resources, and solutions. It starts to see connections you never noticed before. Doors that seemed closed suddenly appear. People who seemed out of reach find their way into your life. But that can only happen if you've painted a picture so vivid, so alive in your mind that it feels almost real. Not just a mental checklist. A movie of your life playing in your imagination where you are the hero living fully and intentionally. I want you to think about this for a moment. Everything in your life today, your relationships, your career, your health, your financial situation is the result of the vision, whether conscious or unconscious, that you've been operating under. Some people have a vision. By default, they react to what they see around them. They follow the path of least resistance. They absorb the expectations of others, and that unconscious vision often produces mediocrity. But the power of a conscious vision is extraordinary because it allows you to take control of your future. It gives you a map to create life on purpose instead of life by accident. The truth is, most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a decade. Vision stretches you. It's not about instant gratification or quick wins. It's about seeing a life so compelling that every step, every struggle, every small win becomes meaningful. It gives your present moments weight because they're connected to something bigger than yourself. And when your vision is bigger than your fear, bigger than your excuses, and bigger than the doubts around you, it becomes unstoppable. But clarity doesn't come from sitting around thinking about it. It comes from reflection, from asking the hard questions, from imagining yourself 5, 10, 15 years down the line and asking, if I could design the life I've always wanted, what would it look like? Don't hold back. Don't settle. Visualize it in color, in emotion, in the feeling of it. Feel what it feels like to live it fully. The energy of that vision is what will pull you forward when motivation fades. And here's the secret: of clear vision isn't just for your own benefit. When your life has direction, it inspires others. It creates a force field of influence. People are drawn to those who know where they're going. Your vision becomes a beacon, not just a personal guide, but a catalyst for impact. And that is the real power of a life designed not by chance, but by clarity. So you see, your vision is not optional. It's not a luxury. It's the foundation of everything you are capable of becoming. Without it, you drift. With it, you accelerate. Without it, you follow. With it, you lead. The question is simple. Are you willing to see your life clearly enough to shape it intentionally? Are you ready to stop reacting and start creating? Because the moment you truly define your vision, with emotion, with clarity, with certainty, you no longer chase life. Life starts chasing you. You know, people talk about goals like they're magic keys. If I just hit that target, I'll finally feel fulfilled. But here's the truth: goals are meaningless without identity. You don't get the results you want because you want them. You get them because you become the person who can produce them. Your destiny isn't determined by ambition alone. It's determined by the beliefs you hold about who you are. Think about it. Why do some people seem to achieve massive success after failure while others crumble under the same pressure? It's not talent, it's identity. One person sees themselves as capable as someone who adapts and rises. The other sees themselves as limited, as someone who always falls short. The first person becomes unstoppable because their inner story supports their actions. The second stays stuck because every effort is sabotaged by a belief that they are somehow not enough. Your identity is the lens through which you see the world. It shapes how you think, what you choose, how you act, and how you respond to life's challenges. If your identity says, I'm not good with money, no amount of advice, courses, planning will permanently change your financial reality. If your identity says, I can't lead, no training will make you step into a room and command respect. But if your identity shifts, if you truly see yourself as capable, resourceful, resilient, everything changes: your actions, your habits, and ultimately your results all begin to align with the person you've chosen to become. And here's the most important part: identity is not fixed. You've been told who you are for so long by family, teachers, culture, even your own past failures that it feels like it can't change. But it can. You can reinvent yourself. You can decide starting today to stop being someone who reacts to life and start being someone who shapes it. Every habit, every belief, every decision becomes a brick in the new foundation of your identity. But here's the catch: you can't just wish it into existence. You can't say, I want to be confident, and expect transformation. Identity is built through repeated action that proves to your mind who you are. It's in the small choices you make every day. Every time you speak up instead of staying silent, every time you take responsibility instead of blaming, every time you push past fear instead of retreating, you're sending a signal to yourself, this is who I am. And over time, those signals accumulate and identity shifts. What once felt impossible becomes natural. You see, your current results are a reflection of your current identity. If you don't like your results, it's not just about strategy or effort. It's about who you've been believing you are. And the most powerful question you can ask yourself is not, what do I want to achieve? But who must I become to achieve it? Because when you focus on becoming that person, everything else, the goals, the opportunities, the breakthroughs, aligns effortlessly. Many people struggle because they chase results without upgrading their identity. They think they can just change their life by changing their schedule, reading more books, or trying a new technique. But if the underlying story of who they are remains the same, the change is temporary. They may experience short bursts of success, but old habits, fears, and beliefs eventually pull them back into the same patterns. Identity is the glue that makes transformation stick. Without it, everything falls apart. With it, nothing can stop you. And here's the beauty: when you commit to becoming the person your vision requires, you stop wasting energy trying to force results. Instead, you focus on showing up as the person who naturally attracts those results. You embody resilience, courage, and excellence until your external world has no choice but to reflect it. You move from striving to being. You stop asking, can I do this? And start saying, this is who I am. It's not easy. Identity work requires honesty, courage, and persistence. It forces you to look at every excuse, every limitation, every fear, and say, that does not define me anymore. It requires daily reinforcement through action, reflection, and repetition. But once you take ownership, once you declare, I am not who I used to be, I am now the person I need to be to live the life I envision, everything changes. Opportunities start showing up, confidence becomes natural, and obstacles transform into stepping stones rather than roadblocks. So if you want to change your life, start with yourself. Don't ask, what should I do? Ask, who do I need to become? That is the true driver of transformation. That is the source of unstoppable momentum, because when identity shifts, results follow automatically, almost as if they were always meant to. The life you dream of doesn't just come from action or strategy. It comes from becoming the person who naturally attracts it, who naturally overcomes, who naturally thrives. Your story is in your hands. The person you choose to become today is the person who shapes your destiny tomorrow. And the moment you step fully into that identity, nothing can stop you. Life is not a single moment, and it is not a straight line. Too many people expect change to happen all at once, like flipping a switch, but that's not how transformation works. Life comes in seasons. Some seasons demand action, some demand reflection, some demand patience, and some demand persistence. The secret to creating a life you love is learning to master each of these seasons instead of resisting them. Because every season, even the painful ones, has a purpose. Think about the natural world for a moment. Trees don't rush to bloom. They don't skip winter because they're impatient. They go through cycles: growth, rest, shedding, renewal. And each season prepares them for the next. Yet we as humans try to force life into a single rhythm. We get frustrated when progress isn't immediate. We panic when the results we want don't show up overnight. We treat setbacks as failure instead of recognizing them as necessary phases of growth. But what if, instead of resisting, we embrace life's seasons and learn to flow with them? The first season is the season of planting. This is when you invest in yourself, your skills, your vision, and your habits. It's not glamorous. You don't always see results immediately. You may feel like your efforts are invisible or meaningless, but planning is critical. Every seed you sow today, every action, every decision, every habit has the potential to grow into something extraordinary tomorrow. People often quit during this season because it feels slow and they confuse speed with progress. But mastery is not about rushing, it's about consistency. Then comes the season of growth. This is when your efforts begin to bear fruit. You start seeing signs that your work is paying off. The small wins accumulate, confidence builds, but this is also a season that tests patience. Growth rarely happens in a straight line. You will encounter obstacles, unexpected detours, and moments of doubt. Mastery in this season is about resilience, continuing to nurture the seeds you planted, even when the weather isn't perfect. It's about trusting the process and knowing that consistent effort compounds in ways you can't always see in the moment. Next is the season of challenge. Every life has it. There will be storms, moments that test your resolve, times when it feels like everything is against you. This season is not a punishment. It's a proving ground. It's where your character is forged. People fail to master life because they try to avoid the storms. They think that success is about comfort, ease, and smooth sailing. But growth doesn't happen in calm waters. Growth happens when you're willing to face discomfort and rise above it. Challenges are proof that you are moving forward. They're opportunities in disguise designed to stretch you into the person you're meant to become. Then there's the season of harvest. This is the reward for all the patience, the discipline, the struggle, and the persistence. You begin to see the tangible results of your efforts. But even in this season, mastery requires wisdom. You must learn to celebrate without arrogance, to enjoy the rewards without losing sight of the next season, because life keeps moving. Harvest is not the end. It's a checkpoint. It's the moment to reflect, refine, and prepare for the next planting. People often squander the season because they forget that every season is temporary. Every victory is an opportunity to set the stage for the next level of growth. The key to mastering the seasons of life is to recognize that every phase has its purpose and its lessons. There is a rhythm to your journey, and resisting it only causes frustration. The winter of your life is not a curse. It's a preparation. The summer is not permanent. It's a reminder to nurture what you've built. The storms are not setbacks. They're accelerators of strength. And the harvest is not the final destination. It's a testament to your ability to design a life intentionally. When you begin to see life this way, your mindset changes. You stop obsessing over instant results. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's. You start understanding that patience, persistence, and perspective are the hidden powers that shape long-term success. You start to see that mastery is not about avoiding difficulty. It's about navigating it with purpose and courage. And here's the most important truth. Mastery of the seasons is mastery of yourself. When you can adapt to life's rhythms, you gain freedom. You are no longer a prisoner of circumstance. You are no longer tossed around by the highs and lows of your environment. Instead, you learn to flow, to grow, to harvest, and to plan again intentionally, wisely, and powerfully. Every season becomes an ally instead of an obstacle. So if you want to live a life of depth and fulfillment, stop resisting the natural flow of growth. Embrace each season fully. Plant with intention, nurture with persistence, face challenges with courage, and harvest with gratitude. And as you master the seasons, you'll realize that life isn't a race. It's a journey of evolution, one season at a time. Your emotions are the most powerful force in your life. And yet, most people give them away every single day. They let fear dictate their choices. They let doubt hold them back. They let anger, frustration, and resentment run the show. And then they wonder why life feels heavy, unfulfilling, or out of control. But the truth is simple. The quality of your life is the quality of your emotions. If you can master your emotional state, you can master everything else. Think about it. Every decision you've ever made, every action you've taken, every relationship you've built or broken has been filtered through your emotional state. And the frightening reality, most people don't even realize they're being driven by reactive emotions. They think they're rational, that they're making choices logically, but emotions are the engine behind nearly every choice. If that engine is out of control, your life will be too. Emotional mastery doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means taking control of your inner state so that your emotions serve you instead of sabotaging you. It's about creating the ability to shift from stress to power, from fear to courage, from doubt to certainty, in an instant, whenever you choose. Because once you understand that your emotions are a tool, not a prison, freedom becomes possible. Most people wait for circumstances to change before they feel better. They think, if I just got that promotion, if my partner understood me, if I had more money, then I would be happy. But that's backward. Happiness, power, fulfillment. These are generated from within. The external world responds to your emotional state, not the other way around. When you learn to control your emotions, you stop being a victim of life and start being a creator of your experience. Here's the truth. The way you feel is always a choice, not in a trivial sense, not as a cliche, but in a deep, actionable sense. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. You can't prevent challenges, but you can choose the lens through which you view them. You can't always stop stressors, but you can stop stress from running your life. Emotional mastery is the ability to consciously step into a state that serves your highest purpose, no matter the circumstances. And here's the most important part. Emotional mastery is not a passive skill. It requires practice, awareness, and intention. You have to catch yourself in the moment when fear, frustration, or anger arises and consciously choose a different path. You have to replace reactive patterns with empowering ones. You have to remind yourself that no external force has the power to define your inner state unless you allow it. And the more you do this, the stronger your emotional muscle becomes. Over time, you'll notice that life doesn't control you. You control life. Imagine for a moment being able to enter any room, any situation, any conversation, feel calm, confident, and fully in charge of your emotions. Imagine facing setbacks, criticism, or unexpected challenges, and instead of panic or frustration, feeling clarity, power, and resourcefulness. That's not some abstract dream. That's emotional mastery, and it's the ultimate freedom because it liberates you from the chains of reaction and puts you firmly in the driver's seat of your life. Most people underestimate how much their emotions shape their destiny. A moment of fear can prevent you from taking a step that changes everything. A moment of anger can destroy a relationship that could have elevated you. A moment of doubt can make you quit when you were one step from breakthrough. But when you master your emotions, you gain consistency, courage, and clarity. You begin to act from power instead of reaction, from purpose instead of fear. And here's a secret. Mastery over your emotions amplifies everything else you've been learning. When your vision is clear, your identity is strong, and your life flows through its seasons, emotional mastery is the force that ensures it all sticks. Without it, progress is fragile. With it, you become unstoppable. You can endure setbacks, recover faster, build deeper relationships, and step into opportunities with confidence. Your emotions no longer limit you. They fuel you. So start today. Begin noticing how you feel in every situation. Ask yourself, is this emotion serving me or is it controlling me? And then make a choice, consciously shift, change your focus, change your physiology, change the story you're telling yourself. Every time you do this, you strengthen your capacity for emotional freedom. And the more you practice, the more automatic it becomes. Soon, emotional mastery is not just something you work on, it becomes who you are. Life is full of challenges, but no one can take away the power of the person who controls their emotional state. Nothing external can dictate your inner life unless you let it. That is freedom. That is power. That is the ultimate tool for designing a life rather than just a day. So now we come to the final piece of the puzzle. Living by design, not by default. And here's the hard truth. Most people are living a life someone else planned for them. They follow routines, habits, and expectations that were never consciously chosen. They react to circumstances instead of creating them. And because they never stop to ask the bigger questions, what do I really want? Who do I really want to be? They drift, they settle. They survive instead of thrive. Living by design means taking full responsibility for your life. It means stepping into the driver's seat and understanding that every choice you make either builds the life you desire or takes you further away from it. It's not about controlling the world around you. It's about controlling the world within you. It's about deciding the values you will live by, the standards you will hold yourself to, and the vision you will relentlessly pursue. When you design your life, you no longer leave it up to chance, circumstance, or the opinions of others. You create it intentionally, moment by moment. The first step in living by design is clarity. Clarity about who you are, what you want, and why it matters. Too many people drift because they never define it. They never articulate their vision. They never set the standard for the life they deserve. And then they wonder why every day feels meaningless, why every decision feels heavy, why happiness seems just out of reach. But clarity is the difference between wandering aimlessly and moving with purpose. Once you see clearly, every choice becomes a brick in the structure of your designed life. But clarity alone isn't enough. Action is what transforms vision into reality. Living by design requires consistent, intentional action that aligns with your purpose. Every decision, every habit, every interaction matters. It's not just the big moves that define your life. It's the daily choices, waking up early, exercising your mind and body, choosing to act with integrity, committing to your relationships, pushing yourself beyond comfort. These are the actions that create a life by design. People get hung up waiting for the perfect conditions, the right timing, or external validation. But life moves too fast. You can't wait. You must act now with what you have where you are. Living by design also means embracing responsibility. Nothing will ever happen to you unless you make it happen. You cannot blame the economy, the system, your past, or other people for the life you're living. Excuses are the anchor of default living. Responsibility is the wings of design. When you accept that everything in your life is the result of your choices, past and present, you gain power. You stop waiting for permission, stop hoping for luck, and start creating opportunity. Responsibility is not a burden, it is freedom. Another part of living by design is intentional alignment. This is where your values, vision, habits, and identity come together to form a cohesive life. Without alignment, even the most disciplined person can feel frustrated or unfulfilled. You may be achieving goals, hitting milestones, or gaining recognition, but if it's not aligned with who you truly are and what you truly desire, it will never feel complete. Alignment is the secret to effortless energy, to fulfillment, to a life that flows rather than fights you. When you design your life, you design it around alignment, not around obligation, fear, or external pressure. And here's the final truth. Living by design is not a one-time event, it's a constant process of creation. Life will throw challenges, distractions, and temptations at you. People will try to pull you into default living, to conform, to settle, to compromise. But the person who lives by design refuses. They course correct, they recommit, they evolve. Every day is an opportunity to choose again. Every moment is a chance to reinforce the life you're creating. Imagine the alternative, drifting through your days, living by default. You wake up one morning 30, 40, 50 years older and realize that most of your life was spent reacting to circumstances, pleasing others, and surviving instead of thriving. That realization hurts. It's a life of regret. And it could have been prevented. The only difference between that life and the life you dream of is the choice to live intentionally, the choice to design, the choice to refuse default. So what does it mean to live by design? It means waking up each day with purpose. It means making choices that are in alignment with your vision, your identity, and your values. It means saying no to what doesn't serve you and yes to what elevates you. It means taking responsibility for your energy, your focus, your emotions, and your actions. It means committing to growth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient, even when the world expects something different. Living by design is the ultimate act of freedom because it transfers control back to you. You stop being a passenger and start being a creator. You start being reactive and start being intentional. You stop drifting and start steering. And the incredible thing is, once you commit to it, everything else begins to align. Your relationships, your work, your health, your impact. Life starts to flow because you're no longer swimming against the current of default living. You're swimming with the current of purpose, vision, and design. The moment you choose to live by design, everything changes. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because you become stronger, wiser, and more capable of creating the life you want. You stop waiting for permission. You stop hoping for luck. You stop reacting to circumstance. You begin to act, to choose, to create consciously, intentionally, relentlessly. And that, my friends, is the difference between surviving and thriving.